Gets me every time.
It always gets you, doesn't it? For some reason, it always gets you.
I be like, wow, we official.
It is. Welcome to Full Disclosure. My name is Weldon Bishop, and with me I have the illustrious Fallon.
Hey.
My boy CJ. What's up, Clarence?
No.
And as usual, this is the show where we review the latest topics with in-person interviews and full panel discussions. And so let's I kind of want to jump to, I mean, we had a couple of things we're going to cover today, but I kind of want to jump to like
there's so many things.
Huh?
I said there's so many things that happen.
So many things. Gonna make it all I read. So Fallon, I got a feeling.
Oh Lord.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I have this sneaking suspicion there might be something you want to talk about as far as Joe Smith finding out that his wife, for those of you who don't know, Joe Smith was a former NBA player. He's a #1 draft pick and played for a number of years. And apparently at some point he married former adult film star. And
showing up.
At some point, I guess she didn't feel like the money was coming in like she thought it would, or things weren't getting paid like they should be, and she took it upon herself to start an OnlyFans page and bringing money that way. And after doing so, taped herself of take their argument over the OnlyFans page.
Or I'm like, did he walk in on it? Did he walk in on it?
He was like, "Yo, are you taping this?" Well, Fallon.
Yeah.
By all means, elaborate on this subject. What do you think? What is on your mind? What is really weighing on you about this?
Okay, so from the video that I think CJ, I think you put it in there, right? Or was that Bobby?
I did.
Okay, so from the video, because the first one went viral, right? And he was like, "I can't believe you," and she was like, "What did you expect?" Like she was saying certain things where it was like, we needed the money. Like, what would you expect? And then she was like, "You knew this about me before when you married me," and I said, I was like, very, very, very telling. So that was, of course, the initial one that went viral. So the one that CJ recently sent, there's one that she's doing an interview with TMZ. And so she further goes into detail about basically it is more of a financial situation. She said that like before she did that beforehand, like she was doing adult work, video work beforehand when he met her. She wanted to do a singing career, so she put all her stuff in that. She thought that being with him it would help as well, like they but he knew about her previous stuff, so she quit that, got with him. Like you said, he was a #1 draft pick back in the day, woo yada yada. And money be funny. And right now, some people's money be hilarious. Amen. And the gist is,
I cracks me up all the time. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Listen, child, because man, there has been nothing but jokes in my bank account for right now. Anyways, enough about me. But from what I could tell and the way she was speaking, and I was like, oh, okay. Now, it seems crazy and far-fetched that it's like, oh my gosh, like this seems crazy. Like I know a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, like, oh, this is the type of woman you marry. Oh, you're embarrassing to your husband, wooty woo. But when she was on the TMZ, she was talking about, our money is not the same. Like he was the #1 draft pick. She's like, we got together in 2012, like, and she said she had this OnlyFans up for like a whole year. It's in her link in her bio. So it's like, well, that just shows you how much you be paying attention to me. And I was like, well, damn. And then another thing that she said, he found out because the woman that's been trying to, basically, she made it seem like his side chick was like, oh, let me check her
That
Instagram.
I caught that because I was for a while I was kind of giving him the benefit of a doubt, for the most
Yeah,
part,
and the
because
way
I was still
and
kind
the
of
way
like,
he walked in was like, I
even if
can't
even if
believe you.
that's what you used to do, you would kind of think that if that's the route you're going to take, we'd still discuss it first before you go do it, even
Yeah,
if that's it.
yeah. So
But
obviously
when
there's some type
she
of
mentioned some girl that he was entertaining, I was like, entertaining. That
child. I was like, I thought he was a basketball player, not an entertainer. I was like, what's his name? Is Cedric? Uh, but yeah, so like she slid that in there and like she was basically saying like their real issues. And I feel like the things that she was saying, talking about money wise, like how it's not an uncommon thing once these athletes are no longer the valuable player anymore. They're no longer that. Like them checks aren't coming in. Like even she was said like he was forced to retire. He didn't want to retire. So that makes, I mean, that shit. 2012 was a many years ago. That's over 10 years, right?
I mean, sorry, Clay, I'm gonna let you get in, but nothing against Joe Smith, but number one draft pick or not, he's kind of a bust for the most part. He was
But
never
that's
like
okay.
really.
So you even, I don't even know the game like that. So I don't even know like, so I'm thinking like even still like your main source of income was this one thing. And if you weren't getting like no crazy like mega millions to play in the game, like whatever, because child, don't get me to saying the wrong thing, but you wasn't getting like a major,
They wasn't
200
getting
mil, 100
endorsements or anything
mil.
like that, or yeah.
So yeah, like the money's not there. And a lot of people, like people like to they like to shame people for doing sex work, but there's a market out here for it. There's always been a market. There's a lot of people that are out here that are entertaining it. They probably get it for free, but there's a lot of people that are paying for it. And so for her to say about she did it, it's been like a year and a half, which makes sense because during the panorama times, everybody started going to OnlyFans because they couldn't go outside. So they had to shift and figure some things out. So I can only imagine, you know, her being like, the money is funny. She said they almost lost their house. Like she was saying really important stuff, but everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're out here, you're embarrassing your
Yeah,
husband.
but let's be
But
real. We're
no,
only
I'm
hearing
just,
her side. We're only
I
hearing
know
her
we're
side.
only hearing her side, but money be funny. And if somebody was doing that to survive beforehand, they say the money is going. They almost lost. She's saying they almost lost the house. Like I wouldn't think that she would lie about that, but I'm just saying and she resorts to going back to what she know, and him being like, "Oh my god!" The fact that it wasn't her link in her bio, she said it's been up there. I just feel like there's a lot of factors that people aren't taking in hand. They're just like, "Oh my god, she shamed her husband," but I'm like, I don't know what's more shameful. Y'all ass out on the grass. She said she been holding it. But okay, that's my thing. I'm just more like I can see because she's done it before. It's not like she never did it. She's done it before. He met her when he knew about that previous time. Now he didn't know about this one. She should have had a conversation, but obviously something's going wrong with the communication with them too. But people do things for money. And that's one of the main things, like, people be doing, and that money be coming in. There's a lot of people that made a lot of money on OnlyFans. There's a lot of people
I
that
think
didn't, but there's a lot of people that
I
did.
think I think you missed your call. You should have been an attorney. CJ,
Ah,
what you think? Man?
Well, I can kind of take this a number of ways. I just kind of want to step back real quick and just kind of talk about Joe Smith. Joe Smith played for the University of Maryland for 2 years. Great player. Got drafted in to the NBA in the 1995 draft. Was the number one draft pick. He played for 12 seasons for 12 different teams. Over the course of his career, Joe was estimated that he made over $61 million through the course of his career. And through, through that period of time, illegitimate businesses that he was involved in, not spending his money correctly and wisely, kind of brought him to this point, as we all see athletes, once they finish their career. They never really transition from playing in the professional ranks into the working world like we're all in. You know what I'm saying? And I think at the end of his career, through all his business woes and financial hardships, I think he was left with like $3,000. So how this story resonates with me, because I'm a basketball official.
I wish I had 3,000.
Yeah. So this kind of resonates with me because I'm a basketball official, and Joe lives in the area, and I've actually been to some of his. So what he does now, yeah. So what he does now is that he has training camps where he trains boys and girls from all ages, which I can kind of see him doing for because he played in a league for a number of years. So that's another vehicle for him to make money. But I don't know, this whole thing of social media where we just kind of take and just broadcast our business out there. I could kind of see it, from the first clip. It was a little shady to me, but then, as I saw the second clip today when it was on TMZ, you never know what people are, what their motives are. This could have been they could both very well be playing up to this as to why
they could,
why they're broadcasting this, because people love these type of stories and type of drama, which they can benefit off of. So, I'm kind of torn in between, but even if he didn't know about the OnlyFans page, and they've been together, what I think they said 12 years, 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand her thought process on why she felt like it was necessary for them to broadcast their relationship on that particular platform. If it wasn't for another motive. What's that?
You said on TMZ?
Well, no, just her posting that. What was that? Instagram? I don't know what she originally
before
posted.
TMZ.
Yeah. Oh, that I was like, was she on? Okay, because I was like, was she on live and he busted in?
She's posting the argument. That.
Yeah, but I'm saying the initial post. I think that was on Instagram, wasn't it?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, was she on Instagram live and he walked in? Like, cause I don't know how it happened. That's what I'm saying. Like, because if you're on live, it's going out automatic, and people screen record all the time. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if she like recorded it and then posted, but if she was already on live, then it's going out to the world, and people screenshot stuff all the time. And that's how people stuff end up going on the different sites, because people can screen record you. You can't stop people from screen record you if you're on live.
I have to look at it again.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I could have swore he said,
I have to look at it again.
Are you recording this right now? And she was kind of like laughing.
Yeah. I think she was
because she was already at the computer. That's why I was like, he looked like he walked in on her. So that's why I was like, did he catch her like on live, like in the process? Like, did he finally check her Instagram and was like, oh, she on live right now? Let me open this door.
Yeah, from my vantage point, it seemed like she was already live.
That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it don't take, and if she's making money, okay, amen.
Right.
If she's making money, that means she has followers, and so people are tuned in. Because that's what it looked like. It looked like she was sitting at a computer, and he was like, "Are you recording this?" Ah! And that's the internet.
You don't see any reason for him to be upset at all.
No, I'm not saying he doesn't have a reason to be upset. I am more so saying that I can see how this situation, I'm not surprised by it. It would be different if she was like, she never did OnlyFans. Or she never did any adult stuff, but the fact that she came from adult work, and even with her explanation, like whether people believe her or not, like I could understand it. Like if you get with somebody and y'all are like the finances aren't financing.
You're saying
A lot of
if
people be
you marry a chef, you walk in like, are you cooking in here? I told you never to cook again when we got married.
said you would put them chops down. Exactly, like it's like that's what exactly is. It's like, dear, you are those salt and pepper sugar in your, you know what, get out. It's like you said you would never. And so like I can understand it, and I feel like people are acting as if they don't see like how it could happen, or oh, she's so disrespectful. But it's like people, when people are down and out financially, one thing that people will do if they can't see themselves getting another job, whatever the type of job, like again, she said a year and a half ago, she's doing it right after she done seen all these people make it out, quote unquote, all this money on OnlyFans. Like a lot of people started doing OnlyFans during the panorama. That's when OnlyFans like really, really took off. And you had like one of the rappers, she was doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like, and some people like they do explicitly sex stuff or whatever, they're doing the whole like porn type of things, but you have other people that are literally just what's that girl? She was like a bad teenager on she goes by Bad Baby. She's a rapper. She's a young white girl who was on Dr. Phil and went viral for being like, "Catch me outside," like talking to the audience all crazy. You know when he had the big. She did OnlyFans, and y'all have to look it up, but she made a mint on OnlyFans. And and everybody, I think she made like, it was like, because it made like headlines like, oh, she made all this money. She didn't even post nothing crazy on there. Like she was basically like posting like pictures, like she was like in a bikini or something, like stuff that she could put on her Instagram. But she took her Instagram off and just put all her pictures like on OnlyFans, made all this money. So what I'm saying is I'm not surprised. Like when people are in financial straits, like that happens. Now I'm not saying that everybody goes to sex, but like somebody doing something sexual in nature or doing sex work for money when they're in a financial bind is not shocking to me. I think it's more like he's probably like embarrassed, but the fact that she said it's been the link in her bio for over a year. And she said he didn't even know about it. The friend that the current woman he's entertaining, she was like searching my stuff and sent it to him. So I'm like, there's a lot of issues going on in this relationship. And I'm sure TMZ, like people are like, why is she going TMZ? Why are you telling your business out? First of all, y'all are tuned in. Okay. We're all talking about it. If it might help her get some money, like people say, like if they're in on it, they could end up on a reality series, because people were in the comments like, put her on Basketball Wives.
So that's my point exactly, especially when I saw it on TMZ today. I'm like, they might be doing this for a money grab, you know?
Yeah, they both could be, because when he was like angry, I was like, I don't know, something about it was like, he was like,
definitely see her on Basketball Wives. I could definitely see her on Basketball Wives.
Exactly. And now that you said that they live here in Atlanta, shit. Listen, Atlanta is a mecca when it comes to all the reality shows and stuff like that. So even if, because she was like, I think we'll work it. I think he'll calm down. I don't think he'll divorce me. But she's like, when she was saying, I said that I would never, I'm not gonna be broke again. I'm not gonna lose. Like we almost lost a house. Da, 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 da. Like those are traumatic experiences. If you have ever been broke and have been homeless or whatever the case, and you did whatever you needed to do, you did sex work, whatever you needed to do to support and survive, like people have that trauma experience, and so like they'll go back to it if they need to. Like she might, like she said, she didn't want to. So like people that are like so shocked, it's like like financial problems do exist more so now than ever. She's being familiar with something that made her money, that she was able to survive and support herself on, because she was like, and he won't even he's not even so like you said, like I didn't know all his ventures, but it's not uncommon for athletes to go broke after the league, even if they're making multi-million dollars. I mean, you see the stuff that talk about people winning the lottery and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars,
What
and
was
they
that?
can end up broke.
There's a documentary called Broke where he says something like
Yeah,
NFL players go broke
yeah.
file for bankruptcy after retiring.
Because you gotta, like, the whole concept is so crazy. These people have literally been playing a game, and not to belittle the game, but just they've been working hard at this craft for
For
their
all their
entire
life.
lives.
Yeah.
Their
Their
entire
whole
lives,
life,
yeah.
their only focus has been to get into the league. And the rare fraction of people that actually get into the league, like, to be successful in the league and to stay in the league is another hurdle. And so you don't do anything else. Like, there's is a lot of times, even with, maybe they're not even getting a great education, because they might be, if they're good on the team, then they can be failing them up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that every athlete is doesn't care about their education, but the game is more important, no matter if it's football or basketball. Sometimes they have to have a certain GPA, but if that player is really good, they're going to pass them along. You know what I mean? And so if the focus is, even if they want a college degree, the focus is still on the game. So it's like, even if they have a degree in something else, the fact that they don't set them up to think about what else that you can do, like really have another desire to do something else, know that at any given moment, like, you could enter yourself and it can be all over. Like, the fact, it's deplorable how so many people have made, like, major teams or even college teams millions of dollars by playing and being a great asset to the team and an asset to the college or the professional teams. But if they get hurt or whatever, you're kicked out, and they're
Yep.
not giving enough financial advice. A lot of these people, like, they're black. First of all, a lot of them are black. Okay, a lot of them are minorities. They're coming from impoverished areas. Let's keep
Most
it a buck. Most of them, and because
right,
that's where the drive comes in, because you
right,
trying to get your whole family out of a bad situation. Like, you're so all you've known is poverty. Even if you're not in the NFL or not playing a professional sport, if all you known is poverty and survivor mode, even if you get a decent job or what have you, like, the school system doesn't teach you how to do well with your money. They don't need you to
right.
do well with your money. They need you to be in debt. They need you to do all this other stuff. Like, shit, I'm still trying to figure it out. So I can only imagine, if you know, again, people, what's the saying, like, if you can give all the money to the poor, but it'll end up back into the rich people's hands, because
Yeah,
of just, like, not knowing how to, just not having the mindset of how to make the money work for you. But this whole situation, it could be a farce. They could both be in on it. But the internet is
I
interneting
was
right
really
now.
surprised to see them on TMZ already. I was like, "Whoa, that was
I
quick."
I believe it. TMZ, shit. TMZ, all they had to do is, like, hey, TMZ is gonna TMZ.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Like, if TMZ calls you, and she's probably thinking, well, shit, it's already out here now. Let me explain, because everybody's eating me up in the comments. Like, maybe this can turn into a lucrative opportunity, since they are hard up for money. Like, because people are like, why is she telling the business? Like, shit, if you about to lose your house, or if y'all on the verge, like, for whatever the case, it is Atlanta. So they could be keeping up with the Joneses with appearances and everybody's, but shit, when the pandemic happened, a lot of people were only one paycheck away. You saw businesses close. You saw
mm,
businesses. I seen a restaurant that was always booked and busy. It was very popular. It was in
yeah,
it was in the Vinings area, and they didn't last. They never came back. There's so many. So I can only imagine. Like, this is Atlanta. He's a former celebrity, probably trying to still stay up to that celebrity status, buying the things, going to the places, and the money's gone.
yeah, yeah. True. Yep. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with it. I mean,
Yeah, hopefully they get snatched up. Maybe next time on Basketball Wives.
right. Yeah. I lay money on Vegas that they're going to end up on basketball wise. I'm sure that's what's going to happen.
That's like I wouldn't shoot. And Vegas cheaper than Atlanta. Hey, you better take yourself up out of there. Be up there on the strip.
So let's stay in Atlanta. Former NBA player and business mogul Irvin Magic Johnson, currently newly minted billionaire, is breathing new life into a historic Atlanta life insurance company nearly 120 years since it was first founded. The Alonzo Hernan insurance company is being taken over by Magic Johnson. You know, and Magic's done a lot of he's done a lot of different things for the Black community since being diagnosed with HIV and retiring from the NBA. He's actually, I would probably he darn near as good, if not a better businessman as he was an NBA player. As far as, you know, the things he's been able to accomplish, as far as like movie theaters in Black neighborhoods and partnering with Starbucks and becoming a part NFL owner.
Yeah.
And this was, that's one of those situations where, you know, certain things in history happen and people say, I remember where I was. And I remember when being my senior year in college and him announcing that he had HIV and me thinking to myself, oh, he's gonna be dead next year. Because we didn't, you know, we didn't know anything about.
I mean, people were dying like that back in the back in the 80s. Like people were dying.
He had it, he was like gone. So, you know, it's good to see that not only has he been able to turn a negative into a positive, but has like prospered at it. And he's doing it actively trying to give back to his community, you know, while he's prospering. He's not just, you know, it's not just for himself. So you got any comments on that?
CJ, you want to
go? Well, you know, he already had an insurance company. I think it's called Equitrust, I believe, where he already has like $25.7 billion in assets. So it's, you know, it's a great thing for the Herndon legacy. Anybody that's, you know, from Atlanta that, you know.
I'm about to say, like, I'm like, now that I'm hearing the name, I was like, oh, that'd be all over around here.
Yeah, right. Herndon Stadium, Morris Brown Stadium. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, it's great.
They have a street and stuff. Are they got funeral homes? I think there's like streets, funeral homes. I think
might be. Yeah, you might be right.
And so, you
but
know,
anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, he had a lot of real estate. Of course, you know, back in the day, there was you know, some housing projects named after
there we go.
Herndon Homes.
That was Herndon, right?
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah. So it's a great thing, you know, to, you know, continue that legacy here in Atlanta with the insurance company Atlanta Life. You know, and that's, you know, that's because I know that you know, the insurance company had, you know, been kind of struggling in the past few years, and that's just another great part of that asset that he can add to his portfolio.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Not only that, is that Atlanta Life is the only certified minority insurance carrier in the country.
Oh wow! Oh, that's really big.
Yeah,
that's really big.
That's huge.
I think he is a perfect example of what, you know, what a pivot looks like for athletes. And I think that we were just talking about the other gentleman, the other basketball player, when his wife and what she, you know, her solution for their money problem. But it's like there's no preparation, and if there is, it's not enough talk about it. Like there's only can be so many people, you know, ex-pro athletes that are broadcasters, you know what I mean? Like that became a thing, and now like you have a lot of them, but again, there's only so many that can be that. And there's so many more that are they're, retired or forced to retire, injured or what have you, that have to make this pivot. And I feel like um we don't talk about Magic Johnson enough. Like, I know, like, people are like, damn, he had, AIDS and he was able to live this long, and they like to make jokes about it, or like, even, he had the Magic Johnson theaters and all this kind of stuff. But I feel like we as a community, and then like mainstream, really doesn't talk about him enough and all that he's been able to accomplish. Like, he literally be doing all of this sort of on the low, and then like every now and then people are like, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. But I feel like he's a great example to any pro athlete, or anybody really, entrepreneur, that has to pivot, and he's been doing it for so long. I feel like there really should be more appreciation and more of even a master. You might have a master class for all I know, but if he don't, he need to, of just how to make a pivot, how to do entrepreneur, have an entrepreneur spirit, and be able to be willing to learn and to try different things, because I'm sure he tried a lot of other things that maybe not didn't work, that we don't know about. But I mean, he's a great example, and what he's been able to give back to the community and still be successful for such a long period of time. And you know like, he's one of the true success stories. Like, there's only can be so many broadcasters.
Yeah, right. And one of the things that I remember reading about him was that he actively prepared for life after basketball, because, and even though he got a lot of criticism for the fact that he was friends with the owner, Dr. Jerry Buss of the Lakers, he took that time to learn from Jerry Buss and his partners and everything like that, how they made their money outside of sports. And because of that, he was able to prepare himself, for that situation. Whereas a lot of athletes, they're living that fast life. They're not really thinking that far, but he really prepared for, life after, and it shows. Yeah.
And it's so important, because I think the fantasy of, like, once you finally made it, you have what's his name? He plays for the Buccaneers, who, like, was supposed to retire, then he came back.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, like, Tom Brady is taking his smoothies, he's taking his green juice to make sure, you have these players, but that's not reality. Even for them, like, they're defying the odds and really, really, really pushing it. Because, again, you fight your whole life to be this one thing, and it's hard to probably wrap your head around what your identity is outside of this. Like, if football has always been me, I have always been it, basketball, whatever sport. And sometimes it can be a career. Like, if you only know one thing, it's hard to wrap your mind around, like, well, who am I if I'm not this? You know what I mean? And so
Trust me.
I think
Yes.
that, like,
Yes. Yeah.
child, I love you. But I mean, listen, I wasn't even, hey. But I mean, that's just the reality of life.
Yeah.
I felt like, even like, I felt different ways of that, different waves of that, trying to figure it out. So kudos to him. Again, like, we're not set up for success as minorities in general. And so the fact that he was able to do this, paying attention, and not being so like, I'm gonna play forever.
Yeah. and I think part of what happens is that, because CJ, you mentioned, what was it? You said that Joe Smith made like 60 million over his career, something like that.
Yep, 61. Yep.
61. So
that's a lot.
If you're starting out with nothing, you're thinking to yourself, "There's no way I'm going to blow through all this. I'm good. There's no, in your mind, I'm thinking right now, there's no possible way I'm going to blow through all that. There's no way."
But it's easy when you play for 12 teams and you got 12 homes and 12 different cities.
That's
and
true.
Cars.
That's true,
man. And then the people don't even own their homes. Like, a lot of times, even like, you're living that fast lifestyle, especially like once you're in there, you're thinking like, man, I'm
Yeah.
it. This is it. And
And
the fact that it could all be taken away, I still don't like the fact that they will take away players like college degrees or whatever, their chance to finish college if they get injured in school. Like they'll take away their whole scholarship. I'm like, but y'all made millions off of me. Like
yeah,
that's so crazy that at the bare minimum, if they could never, if they get hurt, whatever, at the bare minimum, they should at least be able to have their school paid for at the bare
Agree.
minimum. Because
yeah,
y'all, it really is a modern slavery. And y'all have these willing participants, and they just started allowing them to, get paid for stuff. And they were like, oh, why do you want to
because
pay?
they like this, right?
Because I found out that when I found out that the Alabama football coach, first of all, when I found out that Alabama don't even have a national team, I was like, "What you mean? People always talking about Alabama." I was like, "What are you talking about?" All I hear is Alabama this, and then I found out that the coach makes like $11 million, and I found that out back in maybe like 2015. So he's got to be making way more than that. So I was like,
Oh
"What?
yeah,
The coach makes 11 mil, and and y'all don't want to pay for
and he
these?"
doesn't pay
Okay.
for where he lives.
No.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. So
Everything that's
everybody
provided,
else,
yeah,
everything
that's
that's
what I'm,
provided to him
yep,
by the University of Alabama, they pay for.
and that's what I'm saying. Y'all need to look
yep.
out
He
for
doesn't pay.
these
He doesn't pay mortgage, nothing. Yeah,
ain't child. That's
yep,
crazy. But if a student again gets hurt playing for your team, doing what he was
yeah,
supposed to do, y'all want to
yep.
take away their whole scholarship? That's
Right.
crazy. Because
Yeah,
even Megan, she had a scholarship. I think she had a gymnastics scholarship.
yeah.
Ended up
Gymnastics.
breaking
Yeah,
her back, and they
right.
yeeted that thing. I said, can't believe it. So it's crazy, and it's appalling to say the least. So the fact that like everybody needs to pay attention to Magic Johnson. Like if you're in a sport, like you got to be thinking about your exit plan, because at any given time you could break something,
Yep,
and it could be over. So you gotta
yep.
figure that out. Shit, I need to figure that out.
Yep,
We all need to figure it out.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. All right. So, TikTok star Keith Lee. Well, I'll admit, first time I ever heard him, I didn't even know who this
Yep.
was.
Me either.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you put in the chat like Fallon, go
Yeah,
ahead
this
and
all
tell
on you,
us.
Fallon. This all on you, Fallon. I'm trying to figure out who this dude is and why he's so
Listen,
important.
and why he's so important.
Yeah.
Oh
Who is?
my gosh. I think that's the thing. Like people are like, what? Who cares about him? Child, y'all are missing the points. Y'all are missing the whole point. So for those that don't know
Yeah, give us his
who
backdrop,
Keith Lee is,
please.
okay. So this is who Keith Lee is. Okay, Keith Lee does food reviews. Okay, and his food reviews helped him grow to fame, right? Keith Lee I think he's like an MMA fighter for one. So he's a fighter. I think he was cooking for his wife during like the pandemic, because that's when I first started seeing him. I was like, oh, who's this couple or whatever. Again, people was in the house. So I think he started cooking food for her, whatever the case. They, grew popularity on social media. Him doing that, him taking care of his family, I think cooking for his daughter or whatever. So he got a lot of praise for that, especially because his wife was pregnant. So he would like make her food and like help out around the house, because a lot of times dudes don't be doing that or whatever. Not everybody, but as a society, that's not the norm, right? So he did that, blew up over there, and then he started doing food reviews. I had sort of missed him or whatever, and then I got on TikTok, and then I was like, oh wow, he done really blew up, because it's only been the last couple years, literally, because we only been in the panoramas. So now what he uses his platform for, it got so big of him doing these reviews on different restaurants, and his reviews, whether he gives 100% honesty, he'll say like, oh, these fries are one, these fries ain't it. So a lot of people have started messaging him to say like, listen, my family owns this business and we are about to shut down. But we really have good food, but we just can't get people to just find out who we are or where we are. Like, if you could just do a food review, it would mean so much to us. Like, we would greatly appreciate it. And so I don't know how he got started doing that, but I guess after he got popular with the liking food because he's a foodie, that's the gist. People will send stuff like, "Hey, we promise the food is good." Like, so his whole thing is it the reason for you not having any business or customers? Is it the marketing, or is it the food, or is it the customer service? And how he tests this food is that he doesn't come in as like he could when nobody really knew who he was. He could just go get stuff, right? And to this fact, like, y'all don't even know who he is. So he's like, but the crazy thing is, like, he's like as known as Beyonce and Taylor Swift when it comes to these food reviews. But if you're not on the TikToks or social media like that, again, mostly on TikTok, he has 14 million followers on TikTok. And that's just the people that's following him. Like, people still see the content and know that's just how the algorithm works. But the reason why people love him is that he's been able to really save these businesses by just saying, like, oh, because it was rare for him to give businesses a 10, like on a certain menu. And so a couple times he was giving 10s to a couple of people. And once he give his food review and you got like a good food review, your business booked. You got lines around the door, white, black, Spanish, Asian, all nationalities, because people really started to like his food reviews. And because it was so hard for him to give a 10, because he be giving like, that'd be like a 1, that's a 2. Like, it's just fries, so it's just this. Now, what happened recently, before I lived, like, he really hasn't had any like crazy stuff that made it, I guess, to the mainstream of the world, right? There was one thing where, now, if you were a restaurant, you say, "Come on in," and he gives his review, and the review, he don't, he's like, "No, this is not this. This is not this." One restaurant was like, "Oh man, who is Keith Lee anyway?" He's like, "You asked me to come here." So, is ask at your own, risk or whatever, because he's gonna be honest. The thing about it, recently he came to Atlanta. Atlanta has very specific, the culture of mostly Black owned restaurants in Atlanta. They have a lot of different rules. They are notorious for having long wait times, very strict rules. You can't order, you only can do takeouts, or you can't do takeout, or you can't, all this kind of stuff. And so he's on a food tour. Party. Yeah, can't be seated unless you had a whole party. So, you can't be seated unless all your party is there. Now, again, that's not just Black restaurants, but there's a lot of restaurants unique, do that too. Yeah, but there's a lot of unique things with these, more specifically these Black restaurants, right? Because that's a lot of times he's doing Black owned businesses or whatever, or he's just going to the ones that people talk about, which are popular. And for Atlanta, we do have a lot of Black owned restaurants. So he can go to a nice, quote unquote, really high luxury restaurant or a mom and pop shop. But he likes to use his platform to help businesses. He says, God bless you. And like he said, he feels like God gave him this platform. Again, it's a very recent platform. Again, within the last couple of years, he really started making money off of it. Even had like a collab with Chipotle and all this kind of stuff. So he's really big. He's even bigger now that he done came to Atlanta, and basically he exposed the Atlanta restaurant scene, which has been problematic for a long time. And one of the restaurants he went to specifically was Milk and Honey, or the Real Milk and Honey, because there's two. The Real Milk and Honey. They, again, when he does his reviews, he doesn't go himself because he's gotten so big now. He sends other people to do it, send his family to do. He tried to order online to get it to go, because a lot of times that's how he does it, get it to go. They said he got a phone. It was like the phone recording that says, "Oh, you got to place your orders on DoorDash." He tried to do it on DoorDash. DoorDash said it was closed. The restaurant says it doesn't close till 5. He tried to do this at 4 p.m. So then they drove up there because they were nearby. His family member went in there, tried to get a seat. They said it'll be like a Actually, we can't sit nobody down right now because we're doing a deep cleaning. So we don't have any, time or whatever, or it'll be like an hour. I think they were just basically saying like they couldn't help. So he finally walked up in there. Somebody then it was like, wait a minute, 5 minutes, move, people, hurry up. So,
Because
and he's
it
not
was
with
like
that.
an hour and a half wait before that, right? It was something crazy.
Yes, it was something crazy. And although his reviews has made him a celebrity in that sense, he's not with
right.
that, his whole thing. And so that's another reason why people love him, because he's just giving back to the communities, different communities, especially like because he lives in Los Angeles. I mean, not Los Angeles, Las Vegas. So like to see like people like crying, like families like, oh my gosh, like you revived our business. Like we were about to close, we were about to be like we sold everything. We only had so much left. And their companies literally will have a line around the block and it will never stop. And like that's the running joke was like, oh man, bless these families. They better get their rest because they about to be busy. And so Atlanta, he came in, they all had the restaurants, and the biggest thing is like we're like, who fumbled the bag? Who messed around and lost their blessing? Because if Keith Lee says your restaurant got good food, boom, you're gonna be busy nonstop. The Atlanta scene is different. A lot of these, again, Atlanta is a weird place anyway. Like there's a lot of, everybody feels like they're a celebrity. There's a lot of there's a lot of like treating celebrities different, and he's not with that. So when they didn't give him the food, he said, you know what? And when they were like, oh, we got you now. That basically when they done seen who it was, he was like, you know what? Never mind. Like, what happened to between? You just said it was an hour 30. How can it be 5 minutes? But when my family came in here, so he's like, you know what? I'm going to eat somewhere else. He also tried to eat at Old Lady Gang, which is a restaurant owned by Candy Burris. Now, Candy Burris restaurant has had issues way prior to this. There's been complaints, so much so that Candy has even, because one thing about Candy Burris, she gonna make some money. Because of her issues with her business, she has got a reality show based on the dysfunction of her restaurant.
Wow.
And again, because yeah, if you didn't know, now you know. Atlanta again is a very celebrity-driven city. And so they love, if you're a celebrity, you can come in here and whoop-de-woo. Now they messed up because somebody he was out at the One Fest. Somebody from her restaurant said, come on to Old Lady Gang. We heard we've been trying to get in touch. We heard you were in Atlanta. Because once Milk and Honey messed up, that put everybody on high alert. So everybody was like, oh, come on. But again, he doesn't move like a celebrity. So what one of the a content creator, comedian kept on stage, he was like, a perspective that everybody's missing from this, whether people's like, oh, he's tearing down businesses or what have you. He's like, the thing about it is, if you have good customer service and just treat everybody well, you wouldn't have this problem. Right. And y'all want Keith Lee to come in and say like, oh, I'm Keith Lee, I'm coming to your business right now, it's me. And he doesn't like that. He's not looking for special treatment. He wants to be treated like everybody else. So in order for you to even have a good customer service, you would have to be a restaurant that has good customer service to everybody, not just celebrities, not just for people you think is going to benefit you. And that's something that people are missing. It's like, y'all are saying, oh, if he gets a negative review, oh, he's tearing down Black businesses. But the one of the good reviews he did, it's called the Juicy Jerk. I'm definitely going to go there. I don't even eat ribs like that, but I said I'm going to go. It's a they were again, Atlanta, they was catching hell trying to get food. And because they, all the people kept having these rules, right? The Juicy Jerk was a restaurant that they were coming from somewhere, and a lot of restaurants were closing because he was like, wow, the restaurants closed early. His family member that lives in Atlanta called a place. They said, hey, we got this many people, like, will you be able to serve us? Like, we're just looking for some food. And the person was like, you know what, just come on in, it's okay. Now they close at 11. I think they got there around like after 11 or whatever, but the person was gonna still said like, come on in. She sees that it's Keith Lee, cries or whatever. She's like, I've been emailing you for months, like trying to get you to come down here, like, or maybe even a year or so, just like trying to get you. Like, she couldn't believe it because, again, you just never know who's gonna come in the door and how they
Right.
can bless you. And so what a lot of the places, like the people that follow him, everybody's going to Juicy Jerk now or whatever, because when he got there, there was no line, there was nobody there, there was nothing. And he was like, I don't know what's going on with this place. Like, there's nothing. He's like, could it be the marketing? And people don't know where they are. Because, you know, a lot of times locations, maybe you can only afford a location that people don't see you. But he goes there. She stays open for these people, not knowing it's going to be him. She's like so shocked. It's amazing. She's crying. He says, you know, well, how much money did you make today? Like, how much did you earn? She's like, 2,400, like $2,400 for the day. And he was like, you know what? Charge me that. Charge me 2,400 for this meal.
Wow.
And she's like, oh my God, oh my God. And I never seen that part of his stuff, but apparently, like, even the restaurants that he did go to, like, he tips the waiters like $500. Like, he's
Wow.
not. I know the waiters in Milk and Honey are. He said, you blocked my blessing. But yes, that's been the biggest thing, is that Milk and Honey was trending globally, not just in Atlanta, not just in the United States, globally, especially on TikTok. There was people chiming in, I'm from South Africa and I'm chiming in on the Milk and Honey. Like, you have people like, I'm in Mexico and I'm watching this Milk and Honey thing. And it's like, you guys had the opportunity, y'all fumbled the bag, right? Okay, cool. Y'all had y'all rules. Y'all want to whatever. Their response video was even worse. Milk and Honey creates a video. They put all this nice stuff in the caption, like, thank you, because he says, even with the bad, you know, he said, don't leave no negative hate stuff. Go for it for yourself. Try it out. The real Milk and Honey yourself. Like, don't, because he found out like people were getting like death threats and stuff. Because that's how much people were riding for him, because they're like, he's out here doing good in the world and y'all want to be, you know. So he was like, that's not what I stand on. If you really follow me, then that's not cool. Stop that immediately. Go try, because people were also their Google stuff was plummeting because people were like, one star, one star, one star. And if you're not aware, Google reviews, you have to talk to those people individually to change those reviews.
Yep.
Those reviews are what they are. So if you have bad service, like, you can't like fake those star points. So you got people like doing that to them. And then their whole thing was that they were gonna not what's the word? They were going to do their reply video or whatever. And so with them doing their reply video, they said something like, oh, it was bad. Like, I don't know, they definitely don't have a PR team. They were like, they was basically the owner sitting in there, glasses, shades on, him and his daughters or something, and some girl like, oh, daddy, did you see it with you hear this thing about Keith Lee? And he's like sitting there with a cigar and shades, and he's like, and who is that? And the other daughter's like,
Wow.
oh, you know, that's the person. And he's like, oh, I don't know who that is. And they're like, you don't know who Keith Lee is? He's like, no. But so he chose to do
Wow.
that, which is even worse than it's already bad enough that y'all done lost his business. But then you do that, and so then that's why people were like, that's why it was trending even worse. So it's like, it's definitely been, Atlanta was shook. There was one restaurant, I think maybe the Atlanta Breakfast Club or something, they made it through. You know, they did okay. I think they over here by the CNN Center, not too far from off of the Atlanta's Breakfast Club. I think that's where the one. But the rest of the restaurants, it was definitely difficult. Even Cardi B chimed in. She didn't know who Keith Lee was like that, but she was like, I live in Atlanta. Eating in Atlanta is always like a hassle. Like, they don't take this. You can't do this. You can't, you know, you got to call before a certain time. You got to do this. And he just basically exposed the Atlanta restaurant scene. A lot of people who live in Atlanta feel the same way. And one person was like, I used to thought his stuff was fake, because I'm like, how are you rolling your eyes about this food or whatever, until he saw that he had the same experience as I do in Atlanta. That's when I knew he was real. And people were like, you should have never not believed him. But it's a thing in Atlanta. The celebrity culture, putting people above everybody else, that's a thing. And so he exposed that. Candy's response wasn't the best. I mean, she basically sort of slid through, was like, well, I wish I could have fed you, but you're right. We don't take any on
To go
like
orders.
phone calls to
Yeah.
go orders during the weekends.
Yeah.
Girl, that's not what he was saying. What he was saying, y'all invited him. He came, when his family went in there, y'all said y'all didn't have, y'all, the wait was like an hour and a half. And then he saw people outside waiting. There's all kinds of stuff because he went to Toast on Linux. He said he wasn't even going to film them, but he got there. He was like, he doesn't know about the brunch culture. Like, Atlanta brunch scene is really big. I feel like it's probably what started. A lot of people from DC, they have a really big brunch scene. A lot of people from DC moved to Atlanta. Either way, the brunch scene is brunching. It's expensive. You got pork chops and grass walls, and
Tyler, what you say? The brunch scene is what? Is brunching?
the brunch scene is brunching. I haven't really had to partake because I used to always have to work on the weekends. But I see the videos and I'd be like, oh wow, that looks nice. But it's just a known thing here in Atlanta. Like I feel like the closeness of celebrity here, where it feels like at any given time you can be a celebrity, especially with the internet, or just celebrity being more accessible, I should say, here in Atlanta. It's just different. And he was in LA. He went to New Orleans. He didn't have none of these problems until he got to Atlanta. And Atlanta basically showed their ass. The restaurants, I'm not saying the real Milk and Honey, because even the other one that's called Milk and Honey, they were like, wait a minute, it's not us. So people were in the comments and people had to be like, this is not the person. We're not the one. So it was just a wreck. The fact that it was international, global, making headlines and news and stuff like that, it's huge. So hopefully they'll take this and like fix their stuff, but they're probably not. They made that video. The real Milk and Honey made that video. Candy,
Probably not as long as they're
business,
still getting lines. Probably not.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's gonna be interesting to see how the real Milk and Honey, because some people are like, "Oh, Keith Lee is destroying black businesses, and who is he?" And all the angry people or whatever. But it's like y'all are missing the point. You are not a celebrity. If you were go there, you would want to be treated with respect. You would want to be able to, dine at a restaurant, and it shouldn't be like this huge hassle where they feel like you're beneath them, And so, even with Candy stuff, she already had issues with her old lady gang, and she's making money off the issues. And so she was like, yeah, I wish I could have fed you. Wish you could have. It's like a lot of times people can blame that they don't have the resources. Candy, on the other hand, she has the resources, but she hasn't, I guess, invested in the right people, changed her management, just because she has the funds. Like, it's not like she's a struggling artist. Like, the restaurant business is hard, but Atlanta has been opening up restaurants like it was just Pokemon's gotta catch them all. There's like a restaurant been popping up all over the place. Like, I was just talking to my friends about how all these restaurants are popping up in Atlanta because that's become like the new hustle, the new scam. And then they got exposed. But that's what the scene was.
But the constant complaint is always about us not supporting black businesses enough.
And that's what people are saying. When you support black,
if you're not going to give good customer service, then I mean,
the service industry, not just with food here in Atlanta, because simultaneously I had put on my story, I was like, ooh, they're lucky they don't have like a woman version of Keith Lee talking about this Atlanta hairstylist. I didn't know that apparently that happened this weekend as well. Like, there was this Atlanta hairstylist. This lady went viral before for having a bad experience with her hairstylist, but they were like, well, you came a little late and da-da-da-da. And so she said this time, she's like, I can't believe I'm going viral again for this. I didn't think it could happen twice. I thought I would be good. I was on time. I talked to the lady. I asked her beforehand. This video, she's leaving with half her hair like wrapped up, like braided up in a cap, like, and a piece of hair sticking out. And she was like, I can't believe I'm doing this again. I can't believe it. Like the service industry, whether you're doing, somebody was talking about even lashes, somebody was talking about, the hairstylist, like this wave of
And,
like
and
wanting to be.
y'all spend a way too much money to not and,
Listen, that
to
lady
sit
was
way
pissed
too
because she said
long.
I drove 45 minutes. Exactly. She said I drove. She said when she got there, she drove 45 minutes. The lady didn't even tell her like confirm or her address until like 30 minutes before she was supposed to be there. She lives 45 minutes
Right.
away. So you have that, and it's like basically the gist is what people are saying. You have all of these people that are in these type of service industry positions that used to be like this one guy, he was like, y'all used to be, these type of jobs were for the community, the salons, what even these eyelash things, this is fairly new, but like y'all are part of the community, but y'all trying to make money off the community with bad service. And so some of the like lash techs or hairstylists were like going back to their 9 to 5 because they can't keep clientele. But it's like none of y'all are learning about service, how to give good customer service. But it's like, especially here in Atlanta, it's been very problematic. There was already a restaurant that went viral because they were like putting secret charges on folks, adding extra hookahs, adding people were like, I don't even smoke hookah. And it was like they were calling the police if you don't pay the bill. Like it's been a
Wow.
thing. So this Keith Lee thing just sent it all over, that was like the spinal straw. And now I feel like everybody's laughing at the city of Atlanta.
So the service industry ain't servicing, huh?
It's not
Right.
servicing. but
That's,
they taxing. They
that's,
taxing though. They taxing like they know boo.
Right.
I think that, and that's the part they don't get. I mean, no matter how good the food is, the first part of that is the service. I mean,
That's
I
the
get to
thing.
the
That's exactly is it.
yeah, and yeah, it's if I'm not gonna get good service, then yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time. And I want to support black businesses, but I want good service. So
Yeah, like anybody would, especially like if you're like one of the things that he saw, like this table that was gonna let him come in, he saw this he's like, how long y'all been waiting here? And they was like, oh, we've been waiting here an hour 30 minutes. And he said he saw this one, they were dressed to the nine. He was like, he wasn't familiar with like the brunch scene. People get dressed up, they're coming out from after church. So
nope.
what he did was use, and
For an
listen,
hour and a half, nope. Nope.
exactly.
No.
So he was like, he's like, y'all are really dressed up. So he made sure that the people that were waiting, I think this was for Toast on Lenny, because there was a video of him like outside talking to the folks because they ran outside and was like, hey, come on in, we got you. And he was like, well, what about these people right here? They've been here for weeks. And so they were just like, peasants. So I mean, they didn't say that, but that's the gist. That's what it feels like. If you're not a celebrity, then you're a peasant, and we'll feed you when we feel like it.
Right.
You're gonna jump through these hoops. And so I mean, hopefully things change. I doubt it. But it was the fact that it made it around the world, the fact that people were like, I'm in South Africa watching the milk and honey. Like, it's like you had your moment. You had your moment. You could have been like a great spot for people to come in Atlanta, and now people they're probably not going to go to you. Like you're going to have the people that that probably already was going to go to you. Maybe they didn't see this, hear about this, but everybody else, like you just fumbled a bag.
Yeah. If you willing to wait for an hour and a half to eat anyway, you just had to go to that place. Period. There's
that
no place
and that's
that
what But that's what they make it seem like. Like, say you get dressed up and you're like, we're gonna go to this place. Even if you put a reservation in, they're like, okay, you better, this reservation, have all you people here. You can't do this, you can't you. And then a lot of times, what they'll do is they'll put your card on hold. Like,
Yep.
I think the toast might
what?
put your card. Like, yes, it's serious out here. Because I heard about somebody was like, I need
Nope.
I need to find somebody to go with me because they got my card on hold, and you get
Nope.
like if you don't, like, say you have like 5 people coming and it's
Yeah.
not 5 people coming,
They
like
charge
I
you a
think you
card.
might get taxed. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're
What?
like yes, it's serious.
Yeah, they charge you a
It is
card.
very serious. Because they're like, you basically took spots away that we could have sat other people playing
Nope.
all the games.
Mm-mm.
playing all the game, and then the food might not even be good. And a lot of these restaurants, one of the rules is that you can't send nothing back. So
What?
whatever you get,
What?
yes, what look at you. So whatever you order, like if you don't like it, now me and my best friend, we be going to restaurants all the time, and like if we don't like it, we gonna be like, hey, go ahead, take that
Right.
off. Yeah, like anywhere else, like they're trying to make sure that the customer is satisfied. These other restaurants, they be like, no, like no refunds, no whatever. Like whatever it is whatever it is. And that's why so many people from Atlanta was like, finally, they treated him like they treated.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna know about the brunch scene. I think I'm gonna miss all that. I'm not
It's
gonna
not
get
just
into
brunch, it's just restaurants, Atlanta restaurants in general. Like it's not just brunch, it's Atlanta restaurants in general.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
so don't think you gonna get away with it. But like, oh, you know what? It's after brunch. I should be straight. Child, they gonna be like, the wait is the wait.
That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, so got one last topic. There was this news anchor named Kathleen Trigg out of New York, and
Hmm.
she came up with the idea to start. It's called iWoman TV, a media company led by women, featuring shows
Oh
with
wow.
female leads. And the problem
Hmm.
was she needed money to sustain the business. So she applied for funding with grant groups, venture capital funds, and investors, but most of them denied her. The Fearless Fund, a Black woman owned venture capitalist firm that invests in women of color, took a chance on her and her company. And in 2022, the group awarded iWoman TV a $20,000 grant. The grant allowed her to scale operations and increase funding for female content creators to start or finish film projects. And the problem is the Fearless Funds grant program for businesses owned by women of color has recently faced a legal challenge from the American Alliance of Equal Rights, a conservative group that claims that venture
Oh
capitalists
yeah.
fund
Hmm.
grants amount to racial discrimination under the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Child racial discrimination. Man. Okay.
Yeah. So
Woo.
yeah. So apparently,
Yeah, racial discrimination. Ooh,
yeah,
racial
racial discrimination.
discrimination.
That's from 1866. Yeah, that's
Yeah, because
that's
that's how
that's
that works.
you're right.
That's how that
Right.
works. Oh, let's block the black let's block the black minority group from getting funding
Right.
because
Right.
okay.
And that's just
Is that the one that's tied in with the guy who he went to, the bill passed in Congress, or they're trying to pass the bill? I think it passed because that's why
yeah,
he
I
was
think
able
it
to.
has, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're saying that the alliance led by conservative legal strategist Edward Bloom, the same attorney
Yep,
behind
that's
the
him.
Supreme Court case that dismantled affirmative action in college admissions. Yeah. So yeah, same
Yeah.
dude. Yeah. I
Child.
mean,
Evil. You evil doer.
and my argument, because I was talking to the Mario about this earlier. Here's the thing. Let's say, for all intents and purposes, you don't have a racially prejudiced bone in your body. You know,
Mhm.
and you're right. Yeah. And
Wow.
let's just let's go out on a limb and say, that is not your motivation for, getting rid of programs like this or affirmative action, whatever like that.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that we still tend to gravitate towards being with, helping, and coexisting and co-working with what we're comfortable and familiar with. That means we went to the
Yeah.
same church, went to the same school, we grew up in the same neighborhood, we got the
Yep.
same ethnic background, whatever.
Yep. We got the same
Even if
complexion.
your intent is not to, right, right. Even if your intent is to hire the best person qualified for the job
Hmm.
or to give the best person qualified for uh, the scholarship, chances are you're going to gravitate toward, oh, that's Biff. He went to high school with my sister. So yeah, let me look out for him, And what
like,
ends up
that's
happening is
Blair and Blanche. Okay.
right. And
that's Blair and Blanche.
Everybody in the room ends up looking like you. But we don't need any kind of checks and balances for that.
Child.
Yeah. So that it's just it's sad in this day and age that we still do, though. That we obviously do.
I mean, we do so more now than ever. I feel like, again, like people be like, "Oh, voting doesn't matter. Y'all, the black people and the Democrats and da da da." But it's like, now look what done happened. Y'all think, like, I feel like you have, I'm sure not all men, but you got, even with the whole abortions rights being taken away, like people are thinking, well, I ain't got a uterus, my guy, but you can get somebody pregnant. Like, you might not want to have that, like, whatever the case may be, like, it's gonna affect everybody. And I think it was a slippery slope for people to be like, well, voting doesn't matter, especially for us as Black people and minorities. Like, if voting didn't matter, they wouldn't be always trying so hard to convince us not to vote, to block us from voting, to be like, oh, check that ID, to be,
there's more people in line. If we give them bottles of water, quick give them water. Yeah, don't give them bottles of water.
Hopefully they will dry up like a raisin in the sun. Bottle of water. Like, there's so many. And so I think what sucks is, like, there's so much dope things that you can have because of the internet. Like, there's a lot of, new people that you can see, and you're sharing of community, and, even with maybe the Black diaspora coming together, really being able to see other Black people in different cultures and us coming together, all these kind of things, and knowledge and all this kind of stuff. But also the conspiracy theories, whether they're real or not, like, they're the toxic, the misinformation, it's so much. And it's so unfortunate because people don't think that these things have real consequences. And they do. Like, we saw for January 6th, but people really thought they was about to, we're about to fight for our life, our freedom. You always been free. You always been free. Like, so you always been our freedom, sir. Sir. Because I don't recall you being okay. But anyways, I might digress. But whether I'm not saying that, I just feel like, I'm not saying that everybody should, all be together as one. It would be nice. Unfortunately, whether you vote, you don't vote, there's real consequences. Because you know what? You know who don't worry about not voting? Strong Republicans, older white people. Like, they will be in their little buses, scoot to the thing, getting dropped off to vote. Like, it's very apparent. And so whether you're a Republican, exactly, whether you're a Republican, if you're a Black Republican or a minority Republican or not, like, you have to, and even as a Black woman, like, you can't just be it's not just like you're a double minority. So you have, whether you're a Republican or not, like, you really need to look at what's really affecting you. And for some people, they're just so gung-ho to just be like, as long as I'm with Trump no matter what, or I'm with this no matter what. Like, you really have to look at the policies or the lack thereof. And so a lot of the things that we're experiencing are a result of voting. And so whether you want to vote, not vote, like, you're still going to have these consequences. And I think that's what's not talked about enough. Like, this is a real thing. And the crazy thing is that Black women have been, like, the number one leading demographic of new entrepreneurs and business owners. Like, they've been growing and soaring. So now that they're growing and soaring, he probably was like, they what?
Yeah, growing and soaring.
Right. Write up the bill. Write it up. Write the contract now.
Yep.
It's just crazy. And it's so, like, we really have to think about, like, not just for president, but for all the other, like, the local laws, the local bills. And we have to take that into account. Like, it's a lot more serious than just arguing on the internet. Like people just complaining on the internet. Like if Charlie, if we had the internet back during civil rights, we wouldn't have no rights because everybody is always like, don't nothing change, voting don't matter. Like we have a lot of blessings despite all the craziness that we have going on in the world at this this future, this century or whatever. But if we thought like we think now, especially all the noise on the internet, we wouldn't get nothing accomplished because we would be like, what's the point? Even when people saying like when Georgia flipped blue for the first time, like people were like, oh, that's all. They didn't think about Atlanta. But then when it flipped red, they were like, oh, it's Georgia. What did y'all expect? Y'all didn't show up. Like
Right.
it's back and forth. So it's really unfortunate because they could literally, because of the Republican majority or whatever, they could really just turn back a lot of things that
Yeah.
if we don't, pay attention to. And I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable, but it's like you at least got to try because that's the least you can do. Like people really died for you to vote. And people like, ain't nothing gonna really matter. That don't matter to me. Mom getting money. Yeah, okay. You can't eat at a restaurant because you got an hour and 30 wait.
Right.
maybe if you came to maybe if you voted on some of these ordinances or whatever, maybe we can help that, But that was major. Like once they start doing that, I'm like, people like, oh, it can always get worse. It
Yeah.
can always
It
get
always,
worse.
always get worse.
And all these PPP loans,
Yeah.
this was free money. Like this venture capitalism, like for Black women, like they didn't have to
Yeah.
do PPP loans, and now people are literally serving time.
Yeah.
They're serving time,
Yeah.
and it's like people have to participate in the system, even if they feel like it's not benefiting them, because through those small, like your little thing, it really does trickle down to you and it affects you. Whether even with the judges, especially the judges, like judges that don't look like you, looking at you like,
Yep.
oh my God, guilty. like,
Yep.
like you said, like even if you're not biased, if you're not racist or you have a no racist bone, like again,
Right.
proximity.
Yeah.
One thing as a Black people, a lot of times we have a shared experience.
Right.
And we joke about it, like whether it's like how like certain things is growing up, like be home before the street lights and all, like there's a lot of things, a lot of nuances that we as Black people, even in different cultures of Black people, we have like shared experiences, and not just like trauma, but just like things like with family and like food or whatever cultural things. But like you have white people, the majority, because that's what they are, the majority, that can go without ever seeing a Black person or even being aware of certain things. Like we as Black people, because we again, we have to be aware of who we're surrounded with. Like a lot of times we're more aware, like, okay, I'm the only Black person here. Then they're like, why do Black people need to have movies that have only Black actors in it? This is just to be movies. The regular movies are just white people. The movies, like they could go through their lives and live in a bubble, in a world where they aren't in contact with Black people unless it's through entertainment. And a lot of times that's where they, if they're in these type of places, that's the only time they get to see Black people or be around Black people, is some way of entertainment, whether it's a game or music or what have you. So it's like you can be biased whether you want to be racist or not, but like again, like you said, your neighbor, people that that look like you, that have your same status, your same financial upbringing, like all
Experiences
this kind of
right.
stuff, experiences. Like it's effective, like whether whether your intentions or not, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's crazy, man. Ooh, child, we better vote.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when I saw that, I was like, they could like, and the thing about it is, they say it benefits white women the most because they are they're like, they're a minority, so a lot of times they could satisfy whatever diversity quota with hiring, like it usually benefits white women. So that's what statistics shows. But then you have some people that are voting against their own benefit, just to simply be a part of something. So it's crazy,
Yeah.
but there's other things that can be removed and vetoed, and because they were really cooking this past
Oh,
couple
yeah.
of years. They said, "Oh, affirmative action, get me out of there."
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Uh, um, anything to add, CJ?
No, I think
No.
Fallon pretty much hit it on the head there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank my colleagues for joining me as always. My man CJ, my girl Fallon. Appreciate y'all.
Yay!
And thank you for
Appreciate
joining.
you.
Huh?
I said,
What'd you
appreciate you.
say?
Appreciate you.
No, I do, But once again, we want to thank you guys for joining us on Full Disclosure. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like what you heard today. And we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Yeah,
Peace.
leave some comments. Let